It was a cold evening in early November. Outside, the wind brushed through bare maple branches, scattering the last few orange leaves across the quiet street. Inside a small wooden house on the outskirts of Vancouver, soft light spilled from the kitchen window, warming the snow-tinged air. Emma stood by the stove, stirring a pot of creamy soup. The smell of rosemary and butter filled the room. She smiled to herself. Dinner was almost ready. She checked the clock. 6:30. He should be home by now, she murmured. Her husband, Michael, had promised to be home early. He worked at a construction site a few miles away, and lately, the long shifts had kept him late. But tonight, he had said, "Let's have dinner together. Just us." Emma laid out 2 plates on the wooden table, folded napkins neatly, and lit a small candle. The flickering flame cast a golden glow across the room. Outside, the daylight faded into soft blue. As she waited, she remembered something her mother used to say: "Never rush through an ordinary day. One day, you'll wish you could live it twice." Emma smiled faintly, brushing off the thought. The soup simmered quietly. The house felt too still. She turned on the radio. Soft jazz filled the silence. But deep down, she sensed something strange about the stillness that night. She didn't know it yet, but this would be the dinner that never happened. At 7:12, the phone rang. Emma wiped her hands on her apron and answered casually, expecting to hear Michael's voice. Instead, a calm, heavy tone came from the other end. "Ma'am, I'm calling from the Vancouver Police Department. There's been an accident on Highway 1. Her heart stopped. The officer's words blurred together. "Collision. No pulse. We're deeply sorry." Emma dropped the phone. It hit the floor with a dull sound. The candle flickered, then went out. The soup kept boiling softly, as if nothing had changed. For hours, she sat at the table, staring at the 2 untouched plates. The house that once felt warm now echoed with silence. Snow began to fall outside, covering the porch steps and the empty driveway. Days turned into weeks. Emma couldn't bring herself to cook again. She lived on cold sandwiches and coffee, unable to step into the kitchen without breaking. Every evening at 6:30, she'd sit by the window, listening for footsteps that would never come. One afternoon, while walking through town, she stopped by the small grocery store where an elderly man she knew often worked. He looked at her with kind eyes and said gently, "Haven't seen you around much. Everything all right?" She hesitated, then whispered, "I used to cook every night. But now, what's the point?" The man nodded, his wrinkled hands resting on the counter. "My wife passed 10 years ago," he said softly, "but I still set 2 plates at dinner. One for her, one for the life I still get to live. Gratitude keeps the heart warm, even when the house feels cold." Emma froze for a moment, his words sinking deep. Gratitude. The word felt heavy and light all at once. That night, for the first time in months, she turned on the stove again. She made the same soup, creamy, simple, comforting. She placed 2 plates on the table. She didn't cry this time. Instead, she smiled faintly, lit a candle, and whispered, "Thank you for every dinner we had, and for this one too." Outside, the snow kept falling, silent and steady. But inside, the kitchen felt alive again. She realized something profound. Life doesn't stop when someone leaves. It pauses, waits, and invites you to start again. Seasons passed. Spring melted the snow, and light returned to the quiet house. Emma still cooked dinner every night, not out of habit, but out of gratitude. Neighbors often saw her through the window. 2 plates, 2 cups, a candle between them. Someone once asked, "Why do you still set the table for 2?" She smiled, because gratitude needs a seat at the table. The house no longer felt empty. It felt sacred, a place where memory and life quietly coexisted. Every spoonful of soup, every flicker of candlelight was her way of saying, "I'm still here. I still love. I still thank." At dusk, she often opened the window and let the evening breeze flow in. The air smelled of pine and rain, and sometimes she swore she could hear his laughter in the wind. Moral: we never know which day will be our last ordinary day, so cherish the small ones, the dinners, the words, the silences. Gratitude turns loss into light. Love doesn't end, it only changes its form. And every sunset is a quiet invitation to live, to thank, to begin again. We never know which day will be our last ordinary day, so cherish the small ones, the dinners, the words, the silences. Gratitude turns loss into light. Love doesn't end, it only changes its form. And every sunset is a quiet invitation to live, to thank, to begin again.